We're doing something a little bit different today, everybody. I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds, and I've wanted to do this for a while now, which is to have people ask me questions about just random things that I like. Sure, I'm going to go into detail on more things than others, but I got some pretty good questions. Like I think I got between like 15 and 20 good ones. We'll see. Get cozy first, though. Let's get cozy. Everybody knows I love a robe. If you know me, you know I love a good robe. So we're going to have some cozy questions with Abby. All right, we got our robe on. We're good. We're good to go. We're good to start up. Okay. I ask people on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and I asked my personal friends. So some of these I know were essentially a shot at me just to fucking trip me up. So we'll see. Where's my juice? Let's get started. Oh, this is from my friend Avi out in California. Hey, thank you. He was the first one to ask me this, and he said, of all the characters in the MCU, who would you like to be friends with? Now, the kicker with this question, like I said, some are going to go more into detail than others. When I met my friend Flower, I knew she was like my soulmate best friend. And I don't know I was just telling this story, I don't know which time I was rewatching this, but then I realized she's literally Rocket Raccoon. I'm not kidding when I say that. I'm not joking when I say that. How Rocket Raccoon acts is exactly how Flower acts, and in a good way. It's great. But me being the Slytherin I am, I had to really think this question out after I thought immediately about Rocket because of Flower. So I have to analytically think like, okay, who would genuinely be a good loyal friend to have? Who would be fun to party with? And who would just be like a good outlier friend? But out of all those, I literally have Rocket, Ant-Man, and I'll get into these in a minute, and Thor. Thor only because who doesn't want a fun, nice, cool guy that'll back you up, is loyal, you know, and it's just a cool motherfucker, you know. You can go to other dimensions, you can go to space, we can do all that with Thor. Ant-Man, though, down to earth, can get you out of a jam, and if you used to hang out with me, you know that there were a couple times we got in some jams. So, and he's fun, and he's funny, and yeah, so I thought Rocket at first, but then I was like, I literally have a Rocket, and then I really thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, I can't go off who I think is most attractive, or what, because then I'd be picking Winter Soldier, who would also make a good friend, but I really do, I think that I would go with Thor, or Ant-Man, if I had to go like my new best friend, for sure, and they're not my favorite characters, I love them, but they're not my favorites. Avi also asked me, and I don't know if this was meant to be a question or not, if I was going to do a reaction to the Gucci trailer. Now, I thought about that. We can just get this out of the way now. I don't really care. I think that people are really kind of sick of this. I don't know. And plus, I'm not hating on Ridley Scott, but he's been real hit or miss in his later years. It's either great or it's horrible. I haven't looked at everybody attached to this yet, but it's even with this one, I'm not going to get into the Prometheus argument and all this shit. But anyway, sometimes he just throws they just throw flashy names at us to make you give a shit or us give a shit, and so far I'm not seeing anything I'm that impressed with about it. But like I said, I also haven't looked into who's connected to it and all this stuff. All I know is that Ridley Scott has been hit or miss in his later years, which kind of sucks because I like Ridley Scott. I'm not shit talking him, I'm just saying. Plus, didn't we just have, and this is what I mean, like my uncle asked me what show am I most excited for to come back, and I would say Peaky Blinders, Succession, and The Mandalorian. Those are the ones I'm most excited about, for sure. We can get into Peaky Blinders talk. I definitely do want to get into Peaky Blinders talk because I think I know exactly what's going to happen with that, and I think I've known since about season 2. But if you're not watching Peaky Blinders, what are you doing? But yeah, I think I'm most excited for Peaky Blinders, The Mandalorian, and Succession, and just because they're the greatest. I'm excited for other things, but those are the things I'm most excited about, for sure. My sister and her boyfriend actually asked me a few questions, and I really like them. But she asked me, now me and her are, if you could see literally out of shot anywhere, my room is littered with Stephen King books. I love Stephen King. I love The Dark Tower. I'm all about that shit. See the turtle of enormous girth. On his back he holds the earth. His thought is slow but always kind. He holds us all within his mind. We're all living on a turtle. Hashtag sitting on a turtle. My favorite book, not movie, book. And I know this gets a lot of flack, but I love it. I do love it. And the reason, and I know it gets weird, I know it gets crazy. Turtle references too. Didn't even think about that. But I've never had a book that so vividly captures being a kid getting out of school for the summer, and that specific part of the book, and just being a kid. And I've gone through trauma as a child. I lost my dad when I was 6, and this is what I always tell people because it's true. Kids are resilient. Kids are resilient as fuck. People do not give that. If you think, like, I feel like sometimes parents don't give their kids enough credit, because kids can get through shit better than adults can, for sure. And not only that, there's this one, I think it's Ben, I think it's his chapter, and it's when he's starting to remember dairy, and there's a literal line where he's like, and we're out, and it's talking about hearing the bell ring and how it feels to be booking it down that hallway because it's summer vacation. And that chapter always takes me back to being a kid, no matter what. And not only that, like I said, it does besides all the weird shit, it does a very good job of showing, 1, people don't listen to kids enough, 2, the resilience of children, and how, yeah, this fucked up thing happened, but kids just have a way of going, oh, I almost got eaten by a monster, well, my favorite show's on tonight, and bouncing right back. And it's like, I'm not saying that there aren't things that you need to deal with later on and shit, but I'm just, I really love it, and I know it gets a lot of flack, but I do, I love that. That's my favorite, and besides the Dark Tower series, we're not going to get into that yet, and Dolores Claiborne. And if you haven't read Dolores Claiborne or watched it, do it. And honorable mention, every middle schooler needs to be reading Carrie. My dad used to use that as an example all the time about being nice to people and how you don't know what people are going through at home, and how if you fuck around with them and you don't know what they're going through, they might just show up and fuck you up at the dance and telekinetically fuck up the whole town because you were being an asshole for no reason. My dad always told me, never be mean for no reason. So we're going to get some controversy. Big Omari, who's on my channel, go check out, I cut the video so that it was just me and him arguing about Harry Potter. The new one up of me and him, it's the same one, it's just recut because I fucked up the editing, that's my bad. But he asked me top 10 villains of all time. Now, same thing like with the best friend argument. I'm sitting there going, okay, what categories do we put these villains in? Like, evil, plotting, their scheme, their overall plan, like, okay. Or do we just go off Abby's favesies? Because we could do that. Now, I'm going to start off with saying, Michelle Pfeiffer was fucking robbed for not being nominated for an Oscar for Catwoman. That is one of the greatest performances, not only in a superhero movie, but in a movie. And Michelle Pfeiffer, I fucking love you. So, yeah, that, first and foremost. Then I love Danny DeVito as the Penguin. I love Danny DeVito as the Penguin, but that's more of an honorable mention, too. I have Joffrey from Game of Thrones, Firelord Ozai, Thanos, Darth Vader, Hannibal Lecter. Now, I know we might not consider that a villain. I know we might consider that an anti-hero. I have Heath Ledger's Joker, Voldemort, and Frieza. Now, you might disagree with that, but if you rewatch, not super, but when Frieza's a bad motherfucker. Not only is he a bad motherfucker, but he's taking down planets. He's just, I love it. He has some of the greatest lines. Well, villains always have the best lines, but Frieza's the shit. He is probably one of the best characters, like, overall, like, developed in Dragon Ball, for sure. Honestly, I wasn't going to put Darth Vader on there, but I know he is one of the greatest villains of all time. I know Jack Nicholson's Joker is one of the greatest villains of all time, but I think that they kind of fucked Darth Vader up. But Darth Vader, don't come at me because I love Darth Vader. That's my dude. But they fucked him up. They did fuck him up, but he definitely deserves to be on there. And then Voldemort, if you've read the books, you know that he says some cold-blooded shit. He's great. Like, as villain-wise, he's great. I don't agree with any of these people's outlooks. Let's just establish that. But I do got a thing for villains. Also want to give an honorable mention to Brian Cox playing Stryker in X2, the guy who makes Wolverine. I will continue to bring that up because X2 is a great movie, and he's a great villain. And he's awesome. And I feel like he's not brought up enough. And then, Doc Ock. But we all know that that's a perfect movie. Spider-Man 2 is a perfect movie, is a perfect villain, but that's also, that's another one in my head where I'm like, but are you, because by the end you kind of redeem yourself and yada, yada, yada. So I was trying to just stick to straight up villains. And so that's why I was like, no, honestly, I think Frieza's the baddest out of them all, like, killing people wise, plot wise, all this shit wise. Like, I stand by that statement. Yeah, I do. And then the rest are kind of like, yeah. And like I said, like Firelord Ozai, that's a great character too. Like, he deserves to be on that list. I feel like he deserves to be right there with Darth Vader and shit. The only one I almost didn't put on here was Joffrey. But, what's that? God damn it. How come I can remember actors' names in my regular life because I can remember stupid information that doesn't matter, but then I can't remember it when I need it. Jack, whatever, who plays Joffrey. I just feel like he needs to be mentioned because he's great as that character. Everybody hates Joffrey. And in Game of Thrones, it's hard to go, you're the villain. Wait, no, you're the villain. Wait, you're the villain. Tywin's my favorite character, but somebody else might be like, no, Tywin's a bad guy. I don't see Tywin as a bad guy. So yeah, I just thought, biggest show of all time. Joffrey probably deserves to be mentioned. Also, that actor did a great job of making us all hate his guts. I was going to include anti-heroes, but then, like I said, this got all mixed up. But I want to mention Magneto. Because I want to name my child Eric Magnus. Like, Magneto is my dude. As you can see, I have an X-Men thing. Stryker, Magneto. But Magneto, played by Ian McKellen, but he's an anti-hero. Now, this question is from my sister's boyfriend, and thank you for it. I see, here's the thing, too. I feel like there's two types of people. You either grew up with James Bond and somebody watching those with you, or you didn't watch them at all. We didn't grow up with James Bond, so I'm assuming that he did, because he said, will the next James Bond be black? And I was under the impression that, yeah, he is. But I mean, there's no but. It's gonna be Idris Elba. The best looking man on planet Earth. I love Idris Elba. I don't want to come off as ignorant because this is just, like I said, these are just things that I'm answering. I do totally understand that minorities have been completely shafted when it comes to roles and movies being produced and having things greenlit for them. I'm fully aware of that. So I know that's fucked up. And so I think it's awesome that they want a black James Bond. Just side note, I just don't want people to think like you're kind of acting real nonchalant about this. And it's like, no, that's a big deal if he is. But I also, like I said, that's a huge character. Those are huge shoes to fill. That's a big deal. And if you can do it, do it. I would say the same thing about if they were going to cast another white dude. I would say, well, can you do it? But like I said, average not watching 007 stuff Abby would go out to the theater to see Idris Elba. I would. My sister sent me a few of these questions all at once, and I knew this one was her, and then she was like, oh, that one's me. And I was like, oh, I know. Because she is a Xenomorph fan. And now I am too. I love Alien, but that's her thing. Alien is her thing. Predator is my thing. Predator is my favorite. If you can't tell, there's Predator there. There's a Predator over there. Predator is my favorite alien of all time. Predator and E.T. But Predator, I don't know why somebody bought me that DVD when I was 5 or 6 years old. I don't know why nobody said you can't watch this, but you want to know the truth? If on my other videos, if you look in the background, Knuckles from Sonic the Hedgehog is my favorite character in that. As a kid, I thought you're a big version of Knuckles. And then I quickly realized that is not the case, but I still love you. Talk about Predator and Yautjas all day long. Oh, if you think I don't know my Yautja knowledge, you're dead fucking wrong. E.T. though. E.T.'s a jam. But my favorite alien, my favorite space thing is Predator, for sure. My buddy Ryan asked me what my top 5 movies are that I could watch on repeat. And once again, I have Predator, The Burbs, which is the greatest Tom Hanks film of all time, and I don't know why more people haven't seen it. It's great. It's great. I'm not going to get into it. Groundhog Day, Jaws, and Zoolander. Zoolander is me and my sisters could literally, if you started a quote, we could finish the entire movie. And you know that scene when they're in is it David Duchovny when they're in the cemetery and Zoolander grabs the guy's hand that's in the glass and he goes, "You're J.P. Pruitt, the world's greatest hand model." We do that to all of us. We do that to our mom if we ever catch her with her hand out. Like, we'll be anywhere and we'll just grab her hand and be like, "Oh, you're J.P. Pruitt." And she'll be like, "Stop it." And we're like, "You're the world's greatest hand model." And she gets so upset about it. People are texting me right now trying to slide their questions in, catching me off guard. Favorite movie soundtrack? Rocky IV. I'm not going, obviously I've talked about music and film a lot and how much I appreciate it, and I listen to orchestra music all the time, but if we're going off like songs I can sing, it's Rocky IV and 8 Mile. Not counting anything from Disney. Let's just cut that out. But no, Rocky IV still. I still listen to the Rocky IV soundtrack all the way through, probably once a week. My buddy Andrew asked me my favorite video game. Now, I do have a Kingdom Hearts tattoo. And Kingdom Hearts is almost like my security blanket, I would say, whenever anything like gets real hard. And same way with my favorite game of all time, which if you can't figure it out, I'll tell you in a second. Both of these games are Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X is my favorite game of all time. I can play it all day, every day. And it never gets old to me. I love it. I got Orin on my shirt right now. But yeah, they're both like my safety blanket, almost. And that's why I have the tattoo. That was my first tattoo also. But whenever things get, even when things don't get hard, but whenever things get hard or life's rough or whatever, I always catch myself I'll restart playing Kingdom Hearts 1, or I'll restart Final Fantasy X, even if I have a saved game right before we fight Sin. Like, I'm just like, no, restart. And it, like, resets me. I don't know. I also listen to Final Fantasy X music to go to bed every night. We have another one from my mommy. She asked me what my favorite Sailor Scout is, and she knew this. It's Mars. Mars was the reason I wanted to dye my hair black when I got older. I loved Sailor Mars. But as an adult, I do connect more and relate more with Sailor Jupiter. But that also makes sense because she's a Sagittarius, I'm a Sagittarius. But still, just the character in general, I identify more with Jupiter as an adult. When I was younger, it was Sailor Mars or nothing. This one is also conflicting. My favorite Harry Potter book and my favorite Harry Potter movie. My favorite Harry Potter book is Order of the Phoenix. I love Order of the Phoenix. I really do. But I think because that one is my favorite, the movie isn't my favorite one. But it might be. And I know a lot of people give Goblet shit, and I know why they give Goblet shit, but I love Voldemort. So that scene where he appears, I'm like, I like Goblet. Like, I don't know. And I know that Prisoner of Azkaban is the best one, technically speaking, but if I gotta pick one that's my favorite, I think both book and movie, it's Order of the Phoenix. Yeah. Oh, someone's throwing some Dark Tower shit in here just to fuck with me. And if you know the Dark, like I said, if you know the Dark Tower, we can't do that right now. We can't do all that right now. That's too much. You think the multiverse in the MCU is rough to pay attention to? Try the Dark Tower. Okay, now this is a question I seriously. Okay, let's do Matt's question, because this is the text that I got while I was recording. He said, now these are my personal opinion, and the books aren't finished yet. He said, and I get a lot of Game of Thrones questions, so if you ever have Game of Thrones questions, please leave them in the comments. Comment all your Game of Thrones questions. I love answering them. Just remember to leave a comment anyway, and to like and share and subscribe, please. It helps me out. Any interaction, it helps me a ton, and I appreciate it. Let's get to 200 subs, by the way. All right, let's do this. Matt says, was Jaime Lannister supposed to be Azor Ahai? I don't believe so. I don't think so. I still don't think so. I have a few, we'll get into that in another video, but I don't think that Jaime is Azor Ahai. I have a few theories on who I think may be Azor Ahai, but what do they say? Prophecies can be fickle things. You never know. He also asks, is Tyrion Khaleesi's sister? Now, Khaleesi is Dany or Daenerys, whatever you want to call her. My friend Flower and I have had this discussion many times, and she was the first, and I know that there's the theory of Jaime and Cersei are Targaryens. Well, one day, Flower just says to me, no, I think that, so I don't want to take credit for this because she's the one who said it, and I was like, no, I like that. That Tywin is barren. Tywin can't have kids. So this man that is so consumed with family and his legacy that none of his children are his. So, excuse me, yes, Khaleesi, Dany, Daenerys, and Tyrion would be brother and sister, or half. And I'm kind of married to that theory. I kind of am. And like I said, we had already heard about is Tyrion the Targaryen, or are Jaime and Cersei? And we were like I said, she just goes, I don't think any of them are Tywin's. I don't think Tywin can have kids. I think Tywin's barren. I think that's the kicker of his obsession. We're going to finish with the number one question people always ask me at work, with my friends, always. How would I have fixed Game of Thrones Season 8? Now, I don't think there was much we could have fixed there. And I think we all agree on this, is that it was the timing. It was the rushedness. It was the pushing forward too fast. But I will stand by this. You heard it here first, because I had this epiphany when I was tripping at my cabin one time. I shouldn't have said that. Rewind. I had this epiphany at my cabin when I was drinking a lot with my buddy Flower, and I just looked at her and I said, they shouldn't have killed Barristan Selmy off. First and foremost, you shouldn't have killed Barristan the Bold, bitches. Why the fuck did that even happen? Like a bitch in an alleyway? That was some bullshit, first and foremost. They should have kept him alive. He should have been the one to kill Daenerys in the throne room, not Jon, because then the emotional beat would have been there. We didn't see Jon and Dany's relationship enough for us to give a fuck. We gave a fuck about Jon and Ygritte. We didn't give a fuck about Jon and Dany. We didn't have enough time to. We didn't, point blank. And like I said, none of this would have saved it, but these are little things that I think would have helped. But if you would have kept Barristan the Bold, who was Mr. I'm going to go and find the rightful ruler, I'm going to protect her, I'm in the King's Guard, talking shit about Jaime and his honor, all this, that, and the other thing, if you would have had him kill her in the throne room, realizing, watching King's Landing burn down, going, oh my God, I did the wrong thing. I followed the rules my whole life. I honored these rules my whole life, and look where it fucking got me. It got me to now I'm the Queen Slayer. I'm the one that I talk shit about. Like, and that emotional beat would have been there more. I personally feel like if they would have kept Barristan Selmy alive and had him kill her in the throne room, all sad, and knowing I fucked up my whole life. Another thing they should have done was added Val in. Val is a character from the books who is Mance Rayder's essentially sister, the King Beyond the Wall's sister-in-law. We're not going to get into all the crazy baby swapping and everything. I just think they should have added her in because it's kind of hinted at in the books that her and Jon are kind of, they got a crush on each other. She's the one who goes to Hardhome, not Jon. Remember when we go to Hardhome and we see all the dead rise up for the first time and all that? In the books, Val is the one who goes there. Now, Val is very pretty, very just naturally good looking and all this stuff and whatever. And it's just insinuated that there's a crush there. So I think if they would have had that character in there and at the end of the series we had Jon with his dog, his besties, and his girl, people would have been happier about it. Because Bran sucks. Bran getting the throne sucks. Sansa, you suck. I'm sorry, I'm just going to throw that in there because I know people get salty about it, but it's true. Sansa sucks. And I'm going to reiterate, I don't think these things would have fixed it, but I think they would have helped with some of the emotional beats. And I also think they should have added one more episode in. If you're still rushing it, it's still fucked up, I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing there. But if you would have added one more episode in where, see, now I'm getting all excited, where we have the Hound and Arya on the road, in between all the King's Landing crap and everything in the north, if we would have had a, sorry, my leg's itching, if we would have had a Hound and Arya episode back on the road together, just like we had before, along with more of seeing Dany being alone, not having anybody to talk to, not having it, being paranoid, all these things would have hit better. But that's also their fault for rushing through it. Like I said, none of these things would have fixed it completely, but I do think they should have had Barristan Selmy kill Dany in the throne room. I do think they should have had Val as a character in there because she wouldn't have had to be in it very much, but you still would have known, like, okay, I'm not satisfied with this ending, but I know Jon's getting everything he deserves. And then, like I said, we all would have liked to see the Hound and Arya on the road again together. We would have liked to see more of people interacting again, like Bronn and Pod, and just more of that, and more of seeing Daenerys lose her shit. And then the turn wouldn't have been so harsh for people. I knew that was going to happen. Like, let me get it out. Shit. A whole bunch of stuff around. This was a Deadpool we did. And we did it the week before it aired. Season 8. I'm not trying to rub it in anybody's face, but I won. We had to, and then at the bottom, we have bonus questions for bonus points. Is Daenerys pregnant? I said yes, but that ended up not mattering. Who kills the Night King? And this is where all you people that are salty as shit and then go, well, the Night King doesn't exist in the books. Okay, well, for a narrative of a story, Arya is the one who would kill the Night King. Yeah, Arya. It makes sense thematically, okay? Then it says, who holds the Iron Throne at the end? No Iron Throne. Because there wasn't going to be an Iron Throne at the end. And I hate Bran, and I hate him being in charge, and it fucking sucks, but it makes sense, whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to stick that in there. So yeah, those are the questions I was asked. If you'd like to do this again, let me know in the comments. I feel like it's fun. A little cozy question time with Abby. Ask me anything about what I like or whatever. But yeah, Game of Thrones. I know it's fucked up. I'm not saying that these things would have fixed everything and been great, but I do think a couple of... Who in the ever-loving fuck? Clay, are you calling me? Because I don't know where my phone is. I got all riled up. Yeah, Clay called me. Okay. I was all worked up for a minute there, wasn't I? I'm not saying all of these things would have fixed Game of Thrones. I'm just saying I think it would have helped if certain emotional beats hit harder for the audience, and we didn't get that, and it was rushed. Sorry for sniffling all up in the microphone just now. But yeah, I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. It helps me so much, and let's get to 200, guys. We're small, and we're tiny, but we're awesome. And remember to stay safe out there.